Oh, good morning. I did get a couple alerts this morning and last night, I think, while I was sleeping, regarding NZD CAD and then the S&P 500 this morning, so that's good. Means the market's moved a bit, and we'll check that out in a little bit. Oh, okay, so getting right into it. Last day of the month, I do believe, June 30th, right on, so next week is the next month. So tomorrow I will go over my monthly outlook. That'll be a huge video, very important. I like looking at things on a monthly basis so that I know kind of what to expect during the month, and so if anything weird happens, you can usually account for it. Then you can also base your trades on the monthly movements of a pair, and so you'll get a lot more pips out of it, and you technically risk a lot less because you only have to get in one position to get 5 positions worth of money out of them. So we'll get right into it here. So Aussie CAD is retesting this little area here, and then we'll see how that closes out. It might want to head lower after that. Yeah, kind of boring. Aussie CAD. Aussie Swissy seems to be struggling to go higher, which is good because I need that pair to come down. Going to have to close. I think I have 6. These are all my trades that I have open right now, active trades, and I'm going to have to close them all at the end of the day because my funded account doesn't allow me to have trades open over the weekend. So plus I like closing my trades before the weekend anyways. So I have to make sure these are all closed by the end of the day. They might be probably a slight profit, but not a ton. But I mean, a week without huge losses is still a good week. And then next week we'll probably do pretty good. Start of the new month, it's usually when I trade my best. But we'll get back into it. So Aussie Swiss, yeah, hopefully this rejects and starts heading lower, and then on the day, hopefully this closes as low as possible at the end of the day so I can make a little bit of money on that, and then ideally it's going to keep heading down to this area next month. AJ, still not much. It's just kind of flat. Lower lows, lower highs. So eventually it's probably the volume in the markets just died off after this huge move. This was the first half of the month. Just rocketed up. Look at every day is pretty much just bullish. And then gets to here and then it just boop, tapers off. So I actually rode this trade. I got most of this trade actually. I bought yen pairs right at the start of the month, and so these did me really well, which again is why I'm not too concerned about my Swiss pairs and those shitty pound Kiwi and Euro Kiwi trades that I took the wrong direction that I'm paying for now. So I made most of my money and did really well at the start of the month, so it does happen. But yeah, so for this again, yeah, we'll just wait for price to find I'll put this back. We'll wait for price to find a bottom. Ideally it would be this zone, which is the 50%, the 618 retracement, which would sit right above these previous ones, right above these ones kind of thing. So that would be ideal, so we'll just wait for that. Aussie Kiwi did hit this area, now is printing a huge bearish candle back down. So I do think that the Aussie Kiwi is going to be heading back down. This is a pair that ranges quite a bit, and after this very bearish week I think it's going to head down. Plus I think looking at all the Aussie pairs except Aussie CAD, but I think all the Aussie pairs are the Aussie itself I think has been overbought, so I think that's the Aussie as a whole is going to sell off a bit, Aussie USD today seems pretty strong, but we'll see how it closes. Again, this pair's been pretty boring. I'm excited to do a monthly outlook tomorrow and see what this pair might be able to do next month. Same with all the dollar pairs, because I do usually like the dollar pairs, but they're just, I don't know, I just haven't seen enough trading setups to really want to take them. I'll just jump into this indice right here because it's in the list. Oh, Aussie time was for must have been for a higher time frame. Oh yes, the weekly. Holy shitty internet today, boys. Oh. There we go. Yeah, so it's entered this zone. It's looking to be pretty bullish in this zone. So we'll see how this closes at the end of the day. But this is, as of right now, is pretty good and good. Looks to be good. There we go. We'll see if this works better. Yeah, so like I was saying, Aussie 200 is pushing up into this zone. Might actually push higher because of this quite a bit of bullish momentum here, but not something I'm going to trade or I'm really concerned about. Just something to look at. Oh yeah, it's loading much better. Okay. CAD Swiss. Yes, this is my other trade. So far today has been good. I'd like for it to just, I wish this would just collapse, to be honest, because then I'd make good money. Hopefully this closes as far as it possibly can. The normal range is 44 or 40, just under 47 pips a day, and it's at 44. So I don't see it going much lower than it is right now. But if it does, hey, that'd be even better. But yeah, I think all the Swiss pairs are going to start heading back down. I mean, this one hit major resistance, and it hit it early in the month. Like, it hit this resistance the first week of June and was not able to break it. So hopefully it continues down and we can jump on some more shorts on the Swiss pairs. Ooh, CAD Yen struggling with this area still today. Again, there's just not a lot of volume in the markets at the end of the month, so we'll look at this next month. Probably look at my monthly outlook and see if I can't come up with some trades for it. I really like the CAD Yen. I like all the yen pairs, but CAD Yen and especially Swiss Yen. Swiss Yen doesn't really pull back. It's just, they're just good buys all day. You just ride the momentum. But we'll have to wait on CAD Yen to see what it does. It's kind of flat here, so we'll find a monthly outlook later and then target some trades with that. Oh yeah, see, like I was saying, Swiss Yen, it's so bullish. It's pushing through this zone already, and it's the end of the month. This massive 4-hour candle. I love it. It's really great. So yeah, we'll go over all these in a monthly outlook later. I'm trying to stay focused here on just current conditions, but with this busting through this zone with this heavy bullish candle, there's no trades today obviously, but next week I would say there'll be some buys for sure, because this doesn't seem like it even wants to pull back. So if it doesn't want to pull back, that is fine. We'll just buy it as it's pushing up. How's the dollar doing this morning? Oh, that's bad. That's a pretty bearish engulfing candle. I mean, there's still 6 hours left, but that is consuming the last candle. So the dollar is following its trend and getting weaker and weaker. Is going to push those dollar pairs up a bit, going to push crypto up, and most likely push the indices up a little bit too. Oh, this hit our zone. So I might actually watch this. I've never taken a trade off this Euro 50, but I might actually. Next week, I'm going to watch this, because It's hit this area 4 times, so we'll see how this closes. You can see that this 4-hour candle, there was a nice 4-hour candle coming into the zone, and now this 4-hour candle, this recent one, there's still 2 hours left, but it's pretty shitty. If you drop down to the lower time frames, oh yeah, the 1 hour is printing a hammer candle, so that's a really, really good sign. I'm actually going to set an alert here, because I will probably jump on that next week. I think anytime there's really good high probable trades with multiple rejections, I think it's always worth to make an educated decision. But you can always, I mean, this is not a pair, this is not an indice I normally trade. I've never traded it, but I'm willing to try it and give it a shot if everything else looks good, and if I can get a good risk to reward and everything else lines up, you might as well take the trade. Especially because I get really good spreads with these indices, and indices usually move really fluidly like this. They're just like, look at this, straight up, or like straight down, straight up. That's really nice. You can literally get out of this trade in 5 days. Like, this is 1 week. This was Monday. Boom. Like, that's, imagine buying this on Monday and just riding it to the top, closing it today, making all your money, and then just, you know, being good to go for the weekend, getting out of the trade, and then like Monday you come and now you sell it. So like that's beautiful setup. That is what you want. Euro Aussie looks to be pushing back down out of this zone. Might head lower. We really can't tell much though, so just have to wait and see and look at the monthly outlook if there's anything worth taking, any setups that might take place for the month, because right now there's just nothing. Euro CAD, again, it wants to test this zone. It's just taking its sweet ass time. I think it's gonna break lower, but it just doesn't want to do it yet, so we'll have to wait till next month and see if we can't find some big, because this Euro CAD moves usually pretty good. Yeah, it's just under 500 pips a month, but again, this month only did 256. So, and there is some monthly support here. You can see these huge wicks on the monthlies, but there's also some huge resistance here. So it might range for a bit, but again, because it moves 500 pips in a month, I want to get some of that. So if it gives me a setup that's worth taking, that's with the trend right now, this is bullish. So like if this did break this area, I would take buys up into this area, but we'll just have to see how the monthly closes and if there's any setups with that. Euro Swiss, same thing as the other Swiss pairs. I just want this to go lower and lower and lower. It's probably going to test this zone today. It's got about another 20 pips of range in the day, so could definitely hit this zone. Hopefully it closes lower and I can get out of that at a decent profit. But yeah, Swiss pairs have been pretty slow recently. Hopefully next month they pick up again. Euro pound, another boring pair. Don't see much. I would like to trade it if it breaks this zone, obviously, but until then there's nothing. Euro yen also super bullish. Like still with these 4-hour candles. Broke this zone, eh? We'll just have to see. This might be really similar to Swiss yen, where it just doesn't, there's no pullbacks here. You might just have to trade it the exact same way as Swiss yen. We'll see how this 4-hour closes on the day, but obviously like this monthly is solid. So I went over this last night, but it's definitely going to, I mean, it should head right up to this area next month. There's so much bullish momentum behind this. I would take advantage of it and jump on it. Oh, I keep clicking that, my bad. Euro Kiwi, this is my bad trade, but it looks to be doing much better. Hopefully it's got a little bit of room No, it's pretty much capped on the day actually, but hopefully it finds a little bit more momentum downwards, and it'd be nice if it could make it. I mean, it's not going to make it another 100 pips today, but it'd be nice if it made it back to this zone today, and then I could close it out at a decent profit. Get rid of that. Yeah, and then I will make sure not to take stupid trades anymore. I mean, I'm human. Odds are I'll still take another stupid trade, and then I'll have to work my way out of it. But it's good to test yourself. It's good to learn, and you know, when shit goes against you, you have to figure out a way to make it work for you. So that's kind of what I did here, and I ended up selling it. I'm not even sure the exact price, but and then it pushed up, and then I'm pretty sure I sold up here. So I'll lose money on this position, I'll make money on this position, and then odds are I will make more on this position coming down than I will lose on this position upwards. So it's just hedging out of your positions to really make sure that you do your best at being profitable on them, even if they're mistakes. It works well for me, and I think it's a good tactic. Euro USD, boring, nothing to look at next month and see maybe if there's something worth taking, but as of right now, nothing. Pound Aussie seems to be retesting this zone, might come back up. This might be the trade we want, but it would be against this bullish momentum, this moving average, so a little bit risky, but again, it would be based on the month. I would have to see if this was in an area. Oh, actually, yeah, I think we went over this last night. This is a massive area, and this weekly candle is closing very, very weak, so yeah, that might be this is a huge short, I would say. Yeah, I would say it's a very good trade. Coming up, not yet, but next week, I'm going to set an alert. Maybe I'll just put a little orange guy here. Something to keep in mind, because there's so much previous, looking on this weekly, there's so much previous resistance that, and you can see this weekly's closing, it's struggling with this area, so anything above 191 it doesn't like. So I would take this trade all day as momentum switches, and we can wait. That's the thing, we can always wait. You don't have to swing yet. You can see that obviously there was resistance here, and now it's making a ton of resistance already. Ideally, I would wait for it to get back into that zone, but it honestly might not even make it, because but again, it's Friday, so there's no volume, so this is tough to tell. I would just wait. Don't overthink it. Wait till Monday and see how the volume, see what the volume in the markets on Monday does. If it pushes higher, perfect. If it doesn't, let's say Monday and then even Tuesday, it barely moves above this little area here, then I would just, yeah, I'd probably start the short early. You wouldn't get as good of a risk to reward, but if you wanted to be really safe, I mean, you'd still probably get a 3-ish, so still excellent, but I would just wait for that to set up a little bit more, but that's a really good trade coming up. Pound CAD, just want to check this stream quick. Streaming, recording, yep, everything's good. Pound CAD, so today has been really bullish. It's probably going to function just like the euro. It's kind of been flat for a little while here, since May, early May. Hasn't done much. So ideally you want it to break out of this zone or this zone. It's tough to tell what it's going to do, so you really just have to wait. It has made some decent support at the bottom here. This has held it up kind of most of the month, so, and it is already bullish, so there's a chance that it's going to push higher into this zone, and then if it breaks this zone, then we'll go high, but we just have to wait. Pound Swiss. Yeah, not much right now. So hopefully this candle's wicking nice. Hopefully it comes down even a little bit more, breaks this zone, starts heading back down. Ideally it comes down lower for me so that I can get out of this and make a little bit of money. Oh, pound yen. And the pound's strong now. So let's see. It's not really worth taking a trade today because it's Friday, but yeah, no, this is good. You can see a lot of bull momentum on the yen pairs, but especially this pound. Yeah, so again, I would still, like, you don't have to wait for this retrace, but you'll get a better risk to reward, because if you jumped in now, let's say you were going to shoot for next month, but you jumped in now, your risk to reward goes from a 6 to almost a 2, right? So if we just wait here and we wait for that extra volume, if we just be patient and disciplined, that is key. If we just remain disciplined, we'll be just fine. We'll look at this again next week. Maybe if we just wait, you know, midweek, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, this will pull down a little bit to this zone, find its level of support, and then we can take advantage of this huge bullish trade and get a 5 or 6 R. I think that would be the healthiest choice. You can see this is struggling a little bit with this area. So all the more reason that it'll pull back here. Hopefully we can get a better R to R. So I would just wait on the pound yen, but I think it'll be really good next week. So pound Kiwi, very bullish. I really regret shorting this this week, but I did the same thing with this pair as I did with the Euro Kiwi, and I think I took a short position here or here, and then I took one right at here too. So I think that might almost be break even already. So hopefully this just comes down a bit more towards the end of the day and I can close this out in a profit. But we can see it's really struggling with this 208 area. If we look at a higher time frame here, yeah, this is huge. So this will probably be another big short. I'm going to make a note here. Big short coming. Oh, that's the wrong coming. Coming. So I want to remember that. We can see this is a massive area, and we can see on a monthly, you can see it, look at all this this entire year since January. Good momentum. And then this month, not great. Seems to have died off. Even this weekly, these past few weeklies, like this one was good, but this week's not been good. These ones weren't good. So pound Kiwi is definitely starting to struggle, and I think that's going to be a huge short, and we'll be able to make a lot of money on that, because this usually trends pretty well too. So as soon as momentum switches downwards, be able to jump on it and ride it down and make good money, but we'll just have to wait on that too. And I'll do a full analysis on the monthly outlook tomorrow. Pound USD, yeah, like I said, the pound is super strong today. This 4-hour candle just pushed through this, and then is struggling at this trend line here I drew yesterday. Clear up all this shit. And then, yeah, so I mean, who knows if this breaks this trend line, maybe it'll start heading up more, but I would wait for a pullback before entering any long positions. But this daily is massive, so there's clearly a ton of bullish momentum on this pair. It's way above the moving average, so ups. Pound USD. Definitely look at buying this next week, especially if we get an entry that's reasonable with a good R to R, and we target like a weekly range or even the monthly range like I was talking about, because if you target the monthly range, you can get like 500 pips. So even if you break that monthly trade down into like 4 weekly trades, but you're focused on the whole monthly outlook, it usually turns out much better. So I'd wait for this to come down next week, and then we can jump on that. I need some sort of entry. I'm just going to skip over this German one. Oh, so we see that the NAS is huge bullish momentum, absolutely smoked this zone. Right into this previous zone, and this was the alert that I got for the S&P 500 too. It looks the exact same. So, yeah, this is interesting. There's a lot of bullish momentum, so obviously we're not going to touch this, but I mean, this monthly still strong. This is the weekly chart, but I mean, it is technically still in this area that it's been struggling for weeks. This is interesting, because if you put it like this, price is still in this previous area, and over the last 3 weeks has not been able to break this area. It plowed into it, and then it hasn't been able to break it. So we really do just have to wait for this one. Long term, I am bearish on these indices, and I know nobody wants to hear that because they think the stock market only goes up, but I know better. I know that with interest rates, they are inversely related, and so as interest rates go up, then stock markets go down. This one just hasn't caught up yet, but it's just like Michael Berry or whatever his name is in The Big Short. He was just early, and that's how I am too. But we'll see how this closes, and we'll go from there next week. I mean, if it makes sense, I could still take a buy on this next week, but I don't know. Depends if it breaks this zone, then I might consider taking a buy. But if it doesn't break this zone, and these next, let's say, like there's still 6 hours left for this candle to close, and so if this prints like 5 more of these 1 hour candles, then it just does not want to go into this zone with any depth, then I would consider shorting that. But I would obviously have to wait for a bunch of other confirmations after that, but that would at least give me the thought and worth building a trade on it. So wait for this one. Oh yes, NZD CAD. I did get an alert for this. But again, yeah, so you see my alert would have been based on this, and way too much momentum, absolutely pushed through. I mean, this was a high risk, high reward trade because it was a really tight zone. So if this candle would have been less bullish momentum and wicked, then maybe I would have taken it, but no, it invalidated this trade. But it was something to keep in mind. I would look for another area. Maybe this one actually. See, there's a few wicks. So we'll see if this can even make it into this area, and then we'll see how it functions next week, because that might be setting us up for a nice short down to the 795 level or further, depends on what the monthly looks like. So we gotta wait on that one. NZD Swiss coming back up to this little area after it touched this zone. So again, we're looking to short this pair and break this zone and head lower, or we just have to wait till it hits a significant zone and find some resistance. Seems to be somewhat finding resistance already early on here, which, I mean, if we throw a fib on this, Yeah, it's still quite a bit below my area, so I wouldn't take this yet, but it is looking good. We'll have to see how this closes and then how the next few days of next month go. And then, because if it starts showing significant resistance here, then like at this, if it doesn't hit this area but it's showing significant resistance at this area, like the 54.8 level here, then we could jump on these short early, but I need a little bit more confirmation. Definitely not in a rush for that one. And we do know that the Kiwi is pushing up. There's a lot of strength behind the Kiwi right now, so which could force this pair up, and we don't want that yet if we're going to enter a short, so we will wait for that to die off. Yeah, look at this. The Kiwi strength is pushing it up too. Looking on this one, yeah, so we didn't get the pullback here we wanted. Obviously we weren't going to take a trade anyways until next month, but definitely see how it lines up. I would still probably take this if it came down to this area, but I want to look quickly at how these are functioning. So on the weekly, it did break, it has broken all these wicks, and this week, like this weekly candle was huge and it crushed that area, and then it's wicked on top of it, so that's a very good sign that it wants to go higher. Oops. This monthly is massive, really good, so I do think that it'll definitely head up higher. So we're just gonna have to wait until we get an entry that's worth taking. You can see it is struggling a little bit at this area, so just have to wait for next month and see what goes on in here, and then we'll drop it to a lower time frame once it's more into this area. If it busts out of this area, then we'll drop it on a lower time frame, see if it's finding support, and then enter a trade, probably something like this. Maybe still shoot for a 6-ish, probably something like that for next month. Looks really good. NZD Swiss. Look at how well price respects these zones. Like I drew this out last night and it's setting up perfect. If it wasn't Friday, I would take this trade all day, but you can see, look at the zone, it functioned, resistance, broke, but still resisted at the very bottom of the zone, came up, smoked it, now it's coming up, it's retesting this 50%, the 618 level perfectly. I mean, like, you can't make this up, this is just beautiful. So we would wait, let's pretend it wasn't Friday, let's pretend it was Monday. I would wait for this candle to close, this 4-hour candle, so it's got 2 hours left, and then if it closed like this, I'd be like, okay, perfect, it is rejecting a bit, you do have the 4-hour moving average here, and then I would drop it on a lower time frame, and then just look at how much resistance, even on the 1 hour, this moving average is also respecting it really nicely. So basically you want price to hit a zone like it is right now, a major zone, major fib level, you know, right at the 50, it's just holding perfectly. You can see it just wicking nice, and then if you just wait and you start dropping on lower time frames and you see how it's acting now that it's at that area, like if you look on like the 30-minute, for example, or even the 15, you can see like this bullish momentum right into this zone, and then as soon as it hits this zone, it's like teetering off a little bit. So again, we got 2 hours left before that closes, and if it was Monday, I would probably be taking a trade tonight, not during the morning, but at nighttime, heading back into the Asian session, I think would be really good. And then you would get that momentum, that extra that volume coming into the market, and it would most likely push it down the direction we want it to go. So I would wait for this, but this is a really nice setup. This is really good to learn from and practice these perfect setups. Oil is pushing up. Yeah, it's kind of just, it's consistent. I mean, you can see it's consistently going down. It doesn't want to break this area, but I think it will. So I'm going to leave this right as it is. There's obviously an area up here where our price doesn't want to break, you know, the 72.50 area. So we'll see if price does make it up this high. I don't really think it will. We'll see if it even breaks this trend line. But I do like trading oil too. Like once it moves really well. So, but it's been flat all month here pretty much. It's been ranging between $74 and like 68 bucks, 67 bucks. So we will wait for that. So if it comes up to here, starts rejecting, I would take a sell off that. I would take it here. Or if obviously it breaks this zone here, I would take a sell here. So we can wait for that. UK 100. Broke this zone, which was never really significant, but was still a zone. We'll see. I mean, maybe it breaks this trend line, heads back up to this zone. I would look for some shorting here, or if it starts to break, even if it broke the 4-hour resistance in here. Oops. Like if it broke this, man, even if it broke this actually on the 4-hour, if it broke this zone, that would be my trade. That would offer a really good R2R. So that's something to keep in mind, something to look forward to next week and next month. We can break down some long-term positions, probably, because I do like trading these indices because the spreads are phenomenal. My margins are great on them with my broker, and once they start moving in the right direction, they move really well. Like you can see here, you can see it switched, and now it moves really well when it starts moving. So something to watch. Ooh, the S&P 500, same thing as the NAS, but it seems to be pushing through this zone, so this is interesting. Obviously, we'll have to see how it closes because there is 6 hours left on the day, and it's not uncommon for everyone to take profits on Fridays, so this could very well drop back below this zone today. We'll just have to wait and see. And then I will look at, so monthly, we don't have anything to worry about. This is obviously a very bullish month, so if you're a fan of the S&P 500, I mean that's gonna make you real happy. There's an area here at the 4,500 level, so odds are it'll push up still next month, but will it push much higher than 4,500, 4,600? We don't know. If you look on a weekly, even tighten this up a bit, so like 45.50 might be your range. So if I was to take a long position, and I did think that this was going to continue to be bullish, I probably would target this area. I wouldn't target the full monthly because I think this moves usually about 325 pips a month, but I think this weekly zone here is so significant that I wouldn't target anything above it. Like I would only target maybe 150 pips into it, not the full 300, because I just think that it's going to run into issues at this zone. So if I was to take a long position, if everything made sense next week, it'd be something like this, just very basic. But the R would have to be good. Everything I would have to see some bearish support, and then before entering that long position. But I just don't think it's going to be able to take out this previous zone, because if you think about it, this is back in March of last year. Interest rates are so much higher now, and people have really felt the debt and everything else hitting them, the inflation. So the idea that the stocks are going to keep going up, unlikely, because the money's drying up. Money supply is down. Maybe I'll go into deep economics, fundamental economics, in a different video actually. And then, yeah, so just based on this, I would not take a trade anytime soon. I would just wait for next month and see if anything sets up, and then it might be worth taking a small trade, but do not shoot for the big 300 pip move. USD CAD struggling in this area here. Nothing real special about this. We'll have to just look at the monthly outlook later. Don't really see anything today. USD Swiss, again, struggling with this zone, but taking its time. I do think this is going to break lower. I just don't know when, because it seems to be real slow. I don't think there's any significant, yeah, I guess. We are in a major zone, so there is a lot of buying support in this area, so it might not break below this zone, or if it does, it's going to take a long time because there's just a lot of history on this zone. So just have to wait for that one too. That's the thing about trading, is there's a lot of wait time. Hurry up and wait. That's kind of how it is. USD yen rejected on this 4-hour area. We'll see. I do think this is still very bullish. I think because, especially if you go into here, this is actually good to look at. US interest. US interest rates are at 5%, 5.25%, and then Japan's interest rates, if we just go like this actually. So countries, interest rates. So US is at 5.25%, and then Japan's is at a negative 0.1. So the US dollar is going to gain dramatic value versus the yen just based on interest rates alone. So that tells us that it's very good, like very likely chance that these will be buys coming up. I can see that it's finding some support here already, and so next month we would look at taking more long positions to hit this major zone, and then maybe actually break above this zone eventually. So we'll look at that a little bit more later. Silver's not doing nothing. Found some resistance here on this zone, is resisting this moving average, so I might want to shoot up soon, especially with the dollar losing value. Will cause the commodities, the precious metals, to come up a bit, but just have to wait. Oh yes, this is my perfect gold trade, doing exactly what I thought it would do. So this, again, this will be something I would look at for next month, but it's already shaping up really, really well. You can see we drew this zone, it's destroyed it. It's already making higher highs and higher lows. Nice wicks right into this area, so all the buyers are taking advantage of this. I would probably jump on this thing first thing Monday. This might be the best trade we have. I'm going to mark this one too. It's an excellent, excellent trade, guys. If you could jump on it now, do it, or jump on it next week. If you want to wait to see if you can find like a little bit of a pullback. I would not expect much though. I think this zone is fantastic. You can even move your stop up a bit here, just below this wick. So we can see the daily prices are getting higher and higher and higher. So I think this is a very reasonable trade, and I'm going to look at buying this next week. So that is that. These I'm just going to get rid of because I don't trade these. Yeah, so that's all the Forex pairs. Let's look at some stocks. Oh, Apple stock, just climbing, just new highs every day. When is this going to come to an end? Just kidding, most people probably don't want it to come to an end. But no, Apple stock, very, very bullish. The biggest company, I bet you it's over $3 trillion right now. Yep, $3.03 trillion. The 32 price to earnings. It's very, very overbought, very expensive. But I mean, it's performing well. So like, I think if you want to buy tech stocks that are doing well, you're going to pay this PE ratio. It's just kind of, you don't have a choice. Like if you're buying bank stocks or oil stocks, then you can get away with paying like a 10 PE ratio. But with these tech stocks that are doing well, you're going to pay 30s. It's just kind of how it is. Adobe here is in a major resistance area. Obviously, I would put a line here actually. You're looking at, always look for whole numbers. 130, let's make this white so you can see it pretty well. Yeah, so, oh, this is Airbnb. Next one's Adobe, my bad. Yeah, so Airbnb seems to have found a bottom-ish area over here at 105, pushed up really well to 130, but is now struggling. Looking at their financials, overpriced. We'll just look at a quick financials. I'm not going to drag this out, but you know, quarterly projections are still positive with lots of growth. You know, 20, 24, 20% quarter after quarter. So still looks like a pretty healthy stock. It is overpriced. And again, as a recession really sits in, I would probably look at shorting this. But so right now, there's not really much to do with it. But I mean, this is a significant area. Has not broken this area all year. Well, since February, mid-February, I guess. So I'd probably wait on that one. Oh, okay, so this is Adobe. Man, Adobe is just flying. 46 PE. So like overpriced, but I mean, is there main areas that we would look? I mean, on the weekly, like it's super bullish, but I mean, this is a significant weekly area. It seems to kind of be struggling now, but again, this could just be towards the end of the month where its momentum's dying off. We'd have to wait till next month. Obviously, remember I said whole levels. 500. Yeah, so right around $500 a share. It did come above, obviously. It opened above. It's sat below, so we'll see how it starts reacting. There's another little zone here that it seems to be struggling with. So like I said, with the NAS 100 and the S&P 500, eventually it's going to start coming back down. And I think once you see all these individual stocks that are hitting resistance, like for example, if Adobe can't break above 500 and hold, Airbnb can't hold above 130, all these stocks together will start declining on an individual level, which then will bring these indices back down too. Good old AMC, got my little short trade set up here. It would have to make it back up to this zone, which don't think it really will. Right at $5 here. And yeah, that's AMC. I do not think that it is going up to the moon. I think it is a dying company. I think you're crazy to buy it, but I would definitely short it if it came back to this zone. Try to make some quick money. AMD, again, I think is very overpriced if I remember correctly. Yeah, $456. It's insane. Like, how does a company with only $23 billion in revenue have a market cap of 183? Like, that's like 9 times revenue. It's insane. With only a 5% profit margin. I mean, at least they're profitable. No dividends. I mean, AMD super overpriced, but they all are. So don't take that personal. I am a big fan of AMD. I hate Intel personally. I don't use any of Intel stuff, but this is a significant area. Again, it's retesting this area. Seems to be struggling. Broke back out of it. So momentum might start changing with AMD. Probably put one of these at 120. Put this here. Yeah, like 120. So we have a visual. Yeah, we'll see if it comes back up and tests this 120 area, and then if it can't break it at all, if it gets stuck, then it's probably going to start trending back down. Oh, good old Amazon. We got area that it's struggling with all week, this 130 area. I'm really happy that Amazon has, well, I was going to say their P ratios came down, but it's very high again. I don't know. Yeah, and they still don't pay dividends. That is a lot of employees. 1.5 million employees. Unreal. The quarter after quarter has been still good. Annually, they're on pace to set a record, be above last year's revenue annually, so that's good. Because of their investments in Neo or Plug, it was one of those shitty electric car companies. They lost money last year, they weren't profitable, but this year they're back on par to be profitable again, which, I mean, at only $4 billion on $500+ billion revenue is not very profitable, and it's not very good in my eyes, but especially compared to these previous years. But I mean, still profitable nonetheless. It's just super overpriced. On these technicals, I wouldn't buy this. I think it's hitting a top, or I mean, well, fuck, it's so tough to say. Whenever I'm conflicted, I just stay away from it, because there's no sense in trying to talk yourself into a trade here when there's just other places to put your money where it's more certain. So like, you can see all these big wicks here, but like it's still pushed a little bit higher and it's still super overpriced. I mean, I can't control anything. Like, obviously I can't control the stock market. So if money's going to keep flowing into it, and companies are going to continue to buy Amazon stock at its overprice and it's barely profitable, then that's up to them. And if they keep buying it, then it's going to push the price up. But I can't guarantee. This is why I trade FOREX way more than stocks, and I like FOREX way more, because stocks, there's too much manipulation. I mean, there's manipulation in the currency markets too. There's manipulation in every market, but with stocks, it's really tough to position yourself to do well based on technicals and fundamentals when they can be manipulated and they can just continue. Like, I mean, even as everything's crashing, for example, let's say, we're in a deep recession. I mean, the Amazon stock can still go up. Like, it's already 10 times overpriced, there's nothing stopping it from going to 20 times overpriced. It's been 20 times overpriced before. So I don't like buying things that are overpriced. I think it's just bad. For me personally, it's just bad habit, buying overpriced things. I'd much rather buy underpriced things, because the chance of it going up, I think, are better in my eyes. And then also I just feel better at the end of the day. Even if I lost on something, I'm still happy, because I think it's a good investment, good trade. It makes sense. I would have taken it again, just based on everything I know. Whereas like this to me is just straight gambling, because it's super overpriced. It's barely profitable, and once it starts collapsing, it starts collapsing. So, and it'll dive quickly. That's the thing. There's no real support here. So I would, like, personally, I'm not going to trade Amazon stock, but you definitely could. It's just really overpriced. This is an oil stock, Athabasca. Bullish, kinda, because it's above the moving average, but I don't see it really breaking up. I think with oil being the prices that it is right now, and then the way it's trending down, I think all the oil stocks will dip, just because the revenue is so prevalent on oil prices. And as revenue goes down, so do oil stocks values, because they're not going to be producing as much cash. But look at like these PE ratios versus the tech stocks, like 2.62. That's phenomenal. Like that's super reasonable. Way better profit margins, like, than Amazon. You know, consistently profit. Just 2020 was bad, because all of a sudden, like, all the companies were. But you know, this 2018 was bad too. But all these other years, 30% profit, 46, 42. Like, this is a good company. I would buy this company all day over Amazon. Boeing seems pretty flat. Bullish as of the end of November, but pretty flat recently overall. Like this year, I think. Yeah, all of this year it's been flat. Has not made a new high or anything. Let's find a whole number that we can look at. 220 maybe. 225. 222. Yeah. So struggling to break above 222. Pop back down. Might retest it. It's losing its bullish momentum as this moving average catches up. But, I mean, any significant news regarding military, any war stuff, could push it above this zone, because obviously Boeing gets those contracts, those government contracts that are worth a lot of money, and so the revenue can skyrocket with basically, you know, a few policies put in place. So yeah, that's Boeing. Alibaba, kind of all scattered, pretty ugly stock, to be honest. As far as trading, this is super choppy, kind of ranging. This is very ugly, but I'll look at their fundamentals quick. The finances here, there's a lot of employees too. Wow. Yeah, see, like this is a much more reasonably priced stock. So like a 21 PE, which is good. It's still a little bit overpriced, but pretty reasonable. 222 market cap on 126 revenue, so it's like 1.5 times annual revenue, which is really fair, versus like 10 times revenue like some of these companies. These bank stocks are not looking good. On the weekly, this finally came bearish. Looks to have a bunch of looks to be hitting resistance soon again. Then we'll probably break lower. Could probably dial this down. This is a little aggressive here. Yeah, a little area here might be worth taking a short, like 29.50. Seems to be respecting this area. If you wanted to take a bank stock trade, oh, quick little trade here. If it made it up to this zone, something like this, shoot for the bottom of the zone, get a 5R. That's a decent trade there. Could wait for that to set up. Bed Bath & Beyond is gone. Just absolutely done. I wonder how many people made money off this when it shot up here and then they were able to just dump it. 8 cents a share. They are definitely gone. Yeah, not profitable for many years. Bumble, also very bearish. Wow. People aren't dating. Oh, I got a euro. Look at that after. People are just not dating like they used to via the internet. Just kidding, they definitely are, but for whatever reason, Bumble's not doing good. Oh, they were profitable 1 year. 2 years, I guess. Yeah, no dividends, not currently profitable. Pretty trash company if you ask me. BP, another oil company, big oil company. Again, was really bullish and then has now recently broken it. The prices of oil being down, economic slowdown, is going to bring the price of these, bring the value of these stocks down most likely. Like 35.5. Yeah, this is a pretty choppy stock, pretty ugly to trade. Black Rifle Coffee Company, also extremely bearish. I wonder when this company is going to find a bottom. As far as, yeah, like they made money in 2020, which is surprising because most companies, except the tech companies, lost money. But they've lost money every year, so not looking good for Black Rifle, to be honest. No, definitely not looking good. Don't really see any trades with this. You might get a bounce up out of this zone, but it probably wouldn't be very high. It might be like back up to here. So not a ton of money in that, even if you were to take a trade, so I probably just would not. Good old Berkshire, $500,000 a share. Also seems to be kind of finding a top, a ceiling, say like 518,000. Still a bullish stock, but it's comprised of all the other stocks, insurance, Apple, stuff like that. So as those come down, this will too, obviously. PE is very high. Their market cap versus revenue is only like 2.5, so it's not bad. $2022 is a bad year for them, though. Yeah, I would say you could. If you wanted to take a short position here, you could probably target this area. If you got a good R to R, maybe just put this above these last few wicks. something like this. Maybe just target the bottom of this zone to get a little bit more out of it, but might get a 2.5, almost 3 R to R. It's not a trade that I would take, but there's at least a setup there. Looks okay. I just don't trade stocks relatively often. I don't get enough leverage on them. So with my trading platform, so I just utilize my capital elsewhere. But you can see this is turning into be a very bearish candle, like as far as rejecting this area. It's similar to all these ones, so I would say it's still a decent trade. Berkshire B, same thing. Oh yes, good old Anheuser-Busch. This is a very choppy stock, but is there any weekly? How to look here? I'd say this is actually a decent zone here. We'll see if it. I mean, it was already bearish on the weekly. It's been bearish for a long time. Stock is absolutely falling hard. No wonder they did such piss poor marketing. Now it's making it even worse, obviously, but their stock's been declining for a long time. Yeah, this is ugly, but it's probably still gonna head down, to be honest, especially if it comes back into this zone, this $58 area. It's probably going to be, I would short it. It's below this daily moving average now, and I don't think they're going to recover from their sales, to be honest. So I would short this company all day. Caterpillar. There's an area here, obviously. I'm looking at like a 250 area. It's bullish as of right now, but definitely looks like it's losing momentum. We'll see if this little segment here produces a lower high. If this hits here and then starts rounding back down and is not making a higher high here, then it's definitely going to go bearish. You could target a zone like this. So this could be your trade here. Target the bottom of the zone to make your money, but something like that. If price came up this high, odds are it won't come back up that high, but something like this is a decent setup if you want to trade Caterpillar stock. Carnival, oh my god, going through the roof. Unreal. I fucking hate cruise ships, to be honest, and I would never go on one. I mean, right now I would never go on one. I have no desires, but maybe that changes one day. But their stock is phenomenal. It must have been news or something. What does this say? Yeah, I don't know why this is going up so much, but looks a little sketch to me, to be honest. There's weekly resistance here, though. So if it does continue up, it's probably going to struggle at about 20 bucks. I'd be curious to see if it goes above that. Might actually be, I mean, it would technically be a counter trend trade, but it might be worth shorting once it does get into this area, just because the previous history here, and it'll come into contact with this weekly moving average, which will provide resistance as well. So that could be a factor. Just double check this stream's still good. Streaming, recording, yep, still good. Yeah, so that's Carnival, CMC. I'm just going to delete this one actually. CNRL stock. This is the US one versus the Canadian one. I'm going to delete this Canadian one. We'll just stick with the US one here. CNRL. the largest oil company in Canada. Work for them a lot, actually. Seems to be struggling at this $56 area. Oh no, it's a little bit higher actually, 57. So yeah, with these trending down oil prices comes these trending down oil stocks, so would probably look for a short here. Could pull something like this. Just get this trend line out of the way here. Something like this. Obviously you'd have to make sure your risk to reward is good, maybe target the bottom of this zone. Something like this would actually probably be pretty good. There's a little bit of resistance here from these previous day candles. You can see this candle's pretty trash, so I would say this is actually a decent trade. Maybe just wait till next week and then jump in on it, get a 3.5 R. Coinbase, just want to check this quick. Yeah, we're good. Coinbase, infamous Coinbase. Resistance area here, it's currently in. Bearish candle coming out of it, which is good. Weekly resistance, there's more here. Yeah, I personally think Coinbase stock is bearish. Don't really know, don't really see much of a trade, but could see it heading back down to 50 bucks. Let's see their fundamentals, their finances though. So not profitable, no dividends, $16 billion market cap, only $3 billion in revenue, and they lost over $2.5 billion last year. So their market cap is 5 times their revenue, and they're not even profitable. Yeah, I would say short this company. I would say this is an excellent short. And again, I'm not really overly bullish on crypto as a whole. And I know people take offense to that, but it is what it is. I would look at a trade like this. Try to get a 4R there. Costco. Very bullish. Where is it going to run into issues? Oh, maybe possibly right now, actually. This is a significant area, but this weekly candle is pretty strong. However, this daily candle is not. It is Friday and end of the month, so a lot less volume, but this yeah, this might actually be gearing up for a short. It's kind of high risk because there's a lot of bullish momentum going into it, but I might look at these. Might be able to target something like this though. The bottom of this zone here. I just think that, I mean, as things start slowing down, which they already have, I mean, the revenues will too. The thing is, like, Costco and a lot of companies have been price gouging for the last couple of years, which has really helped their revenues because they're just getting more money out of people. But because the money supply is going down, so is people's money to spend at Costco. So eventually price gouging doesn't work because people don't have and / won't spend the money. So eventually revenues will come down. They're overpriced, you know, almost a 40 PE ratio. At least they pay some dividends, barely. The market cap is reasonable though, like 236. It's basically a 1-to-1 market cap to revenue. And they're profitable, but barely. I mean, those are such tight profit margins. That's the thing. 2.5%, 2.5%, 2.4. The revenue, like the profitability is so small that once the revenue stops coming in, then they really have to start firing employees and really like slow down their business, because they really rely on that revenue with such tight profit margins. As soon as the revenue stops, like they really have to slash the overhead. So I think that's a good position to take there. CRM, my favorite and most hated stock based on their company valuation, because I guess Zoom is worse now, but this used to be the highest PE ratio ever, 554. Doesn't pay dividends, $200 billion market cap on only $30 billion of profit. So that's like what, 7 times revenue. Terrible. Barely profitable, 5%, 0.66%. I guess 2020 was okay, but all the other years were not good. I mean, this company needs to tank. This stock is so overvalued, and it makes me sick. And this is why I don't really like stocks, because this is not a fair valuation at all. It should be so much lower, and eventually it will be, but right now you just have to deal with it, I guess. So interested in 0 trades on this thing because it sucks. It's a solar company. You can see some previous resistance way up here. This is in a lower area here. No real trades on this one by any means. Do they have good finances though? P ratios are good, very reasonable, no dividends. Market cap is actually a third of their revenue, and they are profitable. So there's a good chance of profitability. Like they're profitable starting in 2021, and the revenue and their profitability have went up. So it's actually probably a good buy overall, just based on finances. I mean, it might be worth a buy if it comes down to this area. Target this. Something like that. If it came down to this area, this is a nice previous support area. It kind of looks like it's creating its own new area just above this one right here though, but yeah, so I'd wait for it to come down to here though. Come down to like 35 bucks. Buy it for 35, sell it for 44. Kind of thing, something like that. I think that's a decent trade. I like the company. I think solar is huge. I'm not like a big green hippie person, but I think solar is definitely should be utilized in its situations where it makes sense. If you live in a real sunny place like Arizona, California, Florida, like you should absolutely utilize solar energy. I think it's phenomenal. Carvana, I believe is going to be bankrupt soon. I don't remember. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, things are not looking good. This is actually might be a perfect short though. You should always make money off companies that suck. I mean, maybe it's a little distasteful, but I would say this is, oh yeah, this is a nice short. Doesn't want to break this weekly. This is really nice, guys. Lots of wicks in this zone. I would take this. If I was to trade this stock, I think this is an excellent position. If you wanted to be safe-ish, something like this would probably shoot for. Because let's just say for whatever reason, and it's bullshit, but if Carvana was still like bullish, because like let's just say like it did break above this moving average and there's momentum, and I still think this would be a good short to take because there is previous rejection in this area, this weekly area, and then there's buyer support right here. If there's gonna be, if this doesn't collapse, then it'll probably get stuck here first. So this is a good place to take profits, and then you don't have to worry about it getting bought up. It shouldn't really get bought up until it hits this zone. That's where the volume will come in. So you might be safer to short it down to this zone and then be good to go. And then maybe, I mean, if you wanted to enter a buy after that, but I think as of right now, this is actually a decent short. So we'll just leave that up here. Should go back here. I'm just move this over a little bit so I remember. Chevron, another oil stock, trending down here. This is an area, this is a big area here actually for the stock. I would take this short right there, something like this. Let it come back up to this area a little bit more. Shoot for like 160. Take profit at probably right with 150. Kind of thing, something like this. Obviously, if it made it up this high, then you could take that, but there's a chance that it gets stuck here at like 158, a little bit before that. You just have to watch it closely and see if it shows the momentum and the momentum change, and then the shift downwards. If you're waiting for that, you just have to see how it plays out. Shitty ass DoorDash. Bullish now, lots of bullish momentum. Again, I'm not a fan of this company. Was obviously very bearish. Oh my god. Like at one point this is $250 a share. Unreal. There is weekly resistance here, something like this, which it's approaching. If you look at fundamentals of this company, again, not profitable, doesn't pay dividends, $6 billion in revenue. They lost money, lost a shit ton of, they've never made money, so they've never been profitable, and somehow the company's worth 5 times their revenue. 5 times revenue on a company that doesn't even make money. If you literally had every share of this company, you would be bankrupt eventually at this rate. So, not a fan of that. I don't like companies that don't make money and somehow have ridiculous evaluations. It upsets me. The economic side of me, it is really bugged by that. So yeah, I would short the fuck out of this once it gets up to this area, to be honest. And I would short it down to an area where, like right here. And yeah, wait for that. It's already printing some, looks like it's already losing its momentum, but again, it's the end of the month, so I'll wait till next week to see. This week was pretty bullish, so maybe next week you'll get a little bit of a bull week into this zone, and then you'll see it build resistance, and then you could target low, something like that. Just have to wait. This dividend 15, I'm not gonna go over this. We'll go over Disney. Not looking good for the pedophile company. Finding some resistance here, but is bearish via this moving average. Some resistance here. I hate this company with a passion. Does not align with me morally or ethically. Therefore, I would just keep shorting this. If it broke below here, short it. And if it came up to here, short it. Enbridge, another oil company, trending down. A little bit of a resistance here, but it's also a previous kind of area, something like this. You can see it function as support, broke above, now broke below, then retested here, so it might retest again. Might be a short play there. Forward through the roof, holy. Wonder why. Well, previous weekly resistance is up here. Looks to be slowing down a little bit, but still consistent. Even if it did remain bullish, this might be a position you could take, something like this, because this area is so significant. Look how big it is. You could do something like this. You'd have to find if some wicks form in here, this is where you would place your stop. Try to see what you can make out of that one. Oh, Fox News, another corrupt company. All the media companies should be at zero. They should not even exist anymore. They're all terrible. Well, from a weekly perspective, this weekly's been bullish, but see how it closes. Might be breaking this area. Well, there's weekly resistance up here, but also some major resistance here actually. Yeah, so maybe price really once upon a time respected this area, then it broke, came back up, broke a little bit, came back up, or came down, and now it's struggling again. So you got a big bearish candle here after these last couple days, which is a signal that momentum is coming back out of this zone. So I'd probably look to short this actually. Something like this. Could get a 3.5 R. Let it come back up to this price on Monday, let's say. Looking at like 32 bucks. Nice whole number. Take profit is 30.5. Something like that. Very good trade. Hate the media companies, all of them equally. They all suck. First Solar had a lot of momentum, bullish momentum, but looks to be rounding off. So I'd probably look for some short positions. See a ton of wicks in this area. Support, broke. Now it's resisting, so it wants to go lower. Could target this area. Something like this doesn't look too bad. You just have to see how this candle closes and then maybe enter on Monday. Shoot for something like this. I'd keep the stop a little bit above this zone and definitely above this candle. Because if it decides to retest that today's high, if it decides to retest that on Monday, it's going to stop you out, obviously. So I would wait for this to close even more bearish. Like if this closed right now, I wouldn't take this trade, but we still have 4 more hours. So if it closes below this zone, then it's probably worth the short position. GM, I honestly hate GM vehicles, but look at their stock here. Weekly support is up top here, so we're pretty far away from that. It's been kind of just ranging. Yeah, I don't really see much with this stock, so we'll just move on. GameStop. Another infamous stock. Ooh, a ton of bearish resistance here on this weekly. This moving average is just holding it up ever so slightly. I think this is an excellent short position. I think this is also a dying company, so you might as well short these dying companies. Make your money. Here's your position. I would even actually say that it's a little bit risky, but you could set this stop pretty tight. I think this might be the most recent high. You can see other wicks in this area. There's actually a little baby resistance area here. So you could set your stop a little bit above that, and then you're probably good to go, like on Monday. I'm curious. I'm not going to take this trade, but I think it's a good setup still, and I think we'll watch it play out and see. But looking at their fundamentals, yeah, not profitable, no dividends, obviously. Losing money every year, and somehow their market cap is higher than their revenue. It's about, well, it's not 1.5, but it's pretty close. Almost 1.5. So, which isn't a crazy market cap based on the revenue, but the fact that it is not profitable, it has not been for years, is not a good sign. I would short GameStop. I would short it from 25.20. Oh man, straight up 25. All the way down to 18. Yeah, $18 a share. $7R right there. It's a very good trade. Oh, good old Google. Google is one of the best financially managed companies. I do remember. We'll look at it right away, but lots of wicks here. Price is holding up above this weekly moving average. Looks to be like it might just be pulling back. If we pull out a fib, let's see when the last recent pullback was. It actually did hit this 50%, which is huge. So I would just wait to see how it reacts. Maybe it'll come back down and hit it again, retest it another time just for a little bit more confirmation, but that's huge that it already tested it, already hit it once. But I would just wait for more momentum in either direction before placing any trades. But I want to look at their finances right now. So Google is the cheapest of the big tech stocks at a 26 PE, which is, based on those other ones, is reasonable. Shit ton of employees. Wow. $1.5 trillion market cap. Wild. Market cap's about 5 times revenue, which is normal for all these companies. 21% profit margins, which is great. And I think Google is just growing and growing and growing. I think I'm not a fan of any tech companies personally, as far as, again, ethics and morals. I think they're robbing humans of their life, to be honest. But Google as a company, performance-wise, is doing very well. And I think it would be a good stock to buy, especially if you could get it at a decent price. If it came back down to this area, you could buy it for sure, and then just target this recent high or higher. Moving on, it's getting late. Gear is an oil company that I really like, actually. We'll go into it, actually, because it's a previous area. Again, because it's an oil company and oil's down, these company stocks are going to decrease. However, I want to show you something. Gear pays over 12% dividends and is only a 3.64 PE ratio, so it is very, very underpriced and pays phenomenal dividends. So has been profitable the last 2 years, very profitable, 70%, 46%. So it's a smaller market cap company, but performs very, very well. And I mean, you could, for every dollar you put into this company, you're getting 12% back, and they pay, I think, every month. So if you like dividend stocks, I really like Gear. I think it's a healthy company. I think it's a good place to park your money because they are profitable and the revenue is growing and they pay excellent dividends. If you like dividends, this is the company. Home Depot, I could see coming down. The reason being is economic downfalls, recession times. People are spending less on their houses, on renovating their houses and stuff, because money becomes tighter and tighter and tighter. So if we're looking at areas of where we could potentially short this stock, you can see that the weekly moving average is holding price, price is holding above this weekly moving average pretty well, but I think eventually it's going to come to an end. I don't see any trades yet, but I do like this zone. Well, actually, to be fair, there's another zone hiding here that price is currently in. So yeah, you could, well, and as soon as it hit this zone, there's a bearish candle out of it. This candle daily opened inside this zone and is now pushing back down. So honestly, you could probably trade this now, and then depending on the type of trader you are, if you're more long term, you could short it now, and then if price did come up into this area, I would just short more. I think basically if you're going to short at $310, you might as well short it at $330. That's my logic. So as long as your portfolio or whatever can handle it, like if you're trading on margin or something, and that's good, or if you're just trading with no margin or anything, no leverage, then perfect. Sell some now and then sell some later when it's high up too. But I would probably, I think it's a safe bet. You can make it 8R right now based on this. Yeah, no, that looks great. I would sell Home Depot stock all day. Look at their revenues. So they're actually not too overpriced, but they're still overpriced, but they're not a tech company, so I don't think I think they are actually still pretty overpriced then, based on that logic. But they do pay dividends, at least small dividends. 310 billion market cap on 157 revenue, so about 2x market cap on revenue. So that's not crazy. Their net income 17 billion, so 10% profit margins, which is not amazing. But I'm just curious about, oh yeah, see Q1 they lost money based on the previous Q1 of 2022. And then annually they're looking at a little bit less revenue than they used to have the previous year, so a little bit less profitable. So I think this is the start of their decline, for being totally honest. So I would, I'd say you can short it now at 310. If it pushes up higher into this zone, short it at 320, 330, whatever you can get at. Anything above is worth the short back down to this zone and shoot for like 270, 280. I would say 280. Kind of something like this. I think is an excellent short. And then lots of wicks up in here. HP. I would look for, I mean, it is technically bullish because it did cross over this 200 moving day average. 200-day moving average. Back into this zone, I would look for shorts. Wow, most of these stocks are giving me shorting positions. That's crazy. I think this would be a healthy short. You can see a lot of previous resistance in this area. And I would target something lower. I don't think price will come up above this recent high. So basically let this candle come in here, print a couple highs, whatever it is, adjust your stop, and then enter the short back down. Try to get a 5R off that. We'll see if we can find a whole price that works for us. 29 bucks. Yeah, I think 29 is pretty reasonable. Into this area. And then maybe like a 31 entry. 31 might be a little high into that zone. Yeah, maybe just 30. Well, big 30.75. That's what it is right now. Yeah, it's tough to find a whole number. We could shoot for 31. Shoot for 31 if it hits that, great. And then set your stop accordingly here, and you probably get a really good R to R back down to that previous zone. Intel. Not a fan of Intel's overpriced stock, although it did decrease a lot. It's making higher lows and higher highs, so it is kind of bullish for sure. It's crossed over this moving average. Looking on a weekly here, it's not really. I think it's definitely still bearish. Sorry, this moving average, this weekly moving average, you can see it just flew down. So I would still look for shorts on this. I get that it's bullish on the daily, but it's not on the weekly. And there's a previous resistance area here, which it did hit. So I like that. And then I think you could target these lows. I think that's really reasonable. If price continues to make lower lows, let's say it cracks this low here in this little area of resistance. Say price breaks below here, then I would say it's definitely a good short below here. So you could short there, or if it came up to this other zone, you could short there. That's really the only trade set up for Intel. Just curious about their finances. They do pay dividends barely, but that's good. The profitability has been going down over the years. They appear to not even be profitable right now. 63 revenue, so about 2x market cap to revenue, which isn't crazy. But I don't think, oh, quarterly, holy man. Quarter after quarter since Q1 of 22, they are losing money. Their revenue was 20% less than last year, or than 2021. Last year, the revenue was 20% less than it was the year before, and now this year they're on pace to do even less, by roughly like 8%. So, yeah, I would short this all day. If you could get in now, or up here, or anything, I would just short it. Short Intel. Definitely short Intel. Shitty Johnson & Johnson, another corrupt company. You got resistance here. It is testing this moving average, which will function as resistance as well. I think there's a lot of wicks here. I would target something like this. Might not get the best R to R, but if you want to be a little bit higher risk and get a more return, you can shrink your stop a bit here. Again, if you don't use stops or you're not trading on margin or anything, you don't have to worry about price going against you too much. If that's not a concern, then yeah, just take your position, take it now, take it into the zone more, take it now, and then also wait. If it comes into the zone more, take more if you want, if that makes sense. You can just average into your position. Then I would target this 162 area. 161 maybe. Yeah, target the bottom, make your money. 161 area and 165. No, 166. I think that's a great trade there, right there. If price got up to that high. Right there, set your stop accordingly. It's a little bit above all those recent highs. That'd be nasty. If it came up here and you could get that, then that would be excellent. But I'd probably still just short it now. Seems to be printing a pretty shitty daily candle, showing that the momentum upwards is weakening. So you could take advantage of that and target lower. JP Morgan, also another bank stock, which is not looking great, although this weekly is insane, pushing right through this zone. Looks like it's going to close above the zone, so you can see that on the weekly came up, higher low. Now it seems like it's got a lot of bullish momentum pushing through. However, there's a nice bottom area here. I would not buy this. Yeah, no, I would definitely not buy it, although it is bullish. I would wait. I don't think there's really a trade on this at all. I'd wait for it to hit this zone, and then you could maybe target some lows here. But so it might be something like this, but you would have to wait. I don't think the bank stocks are doing too well, to be honest, long term, based on their finances. They do pay dividends, which is nice. PE ratio is low, so it's reasonable. All the bank stocks are like that. 424 market cap on 150 revenue, so it's a little over 3, almost 3.5 times market cap to revenue, so that's not bad. They're very profitable, 23%, but if you look at annually, yeah, I mean, this year's still supposed to be pretty good. It's supposed to be quite a bit better than last year, so maybe I'm wrong actually. Maybe this is a good buy. I don't see, like, this weekly candle is super strong, so I mean there's a chance that it does have a lot of momentum behind it, and the best position would be a long position, maybe into this area. It's not something I would take, but I could see this playing out that way. I would just wait. Coca-Cola. Let's see. It looks like it's ranging. You got your high prices here. Your low prices here. Did make some recent higher prices here, but this is really just ranging. I don't really see much here. Yeah, it's kind of, its weekly momentum seems to be dying. As you can see, it was obviously way above the moving average, came down, pretty much just respected it, came back up, but has not made new highs. Came down, hasn't made new lows, tried again, can't do it. So it's gonna come back into this zone. And then I'm not sure what it'll do after that, but there might be a trade set up here. So if it comes into this zone and it demonstrates that there's bullish momentum coming back into the market, so let's say it hits this area, starts wicking like these ones, starts producing some wicks, then there might be a buy entry to this zone here, something like this. But you would just have to wait for that to come into play, maybe like 59 bucks, and then target like 62 bucks. But that's the play there. I do kind of think long term, economic recession, all that, finance wise, I do think this is going to break lower. So odds are I wouldn't take this trade anyways based on the finances, long-term finances, but technicals might show that it would still be a decent buy. So something to keep in mind. Don't love it, wouldn't take it, but you got to respect all the setups, you know. Setup's a setup. Got to analyze it. Got to, you know, I like to watch things even play through. So like I'll watch this over the next few weeks and just see how it, maybe I'm completely wrong, and then I can learn from it or analyze why I was wrong, kind of thing. But let's check their finances here. It's 26, so they're not, I mean, they're overpriced just like all the other stocks, but not as bad. 3% dividends isn't great, but at least it's something. 259 market cap on 42. Yeah, see, like that's a high market cap though. That's like a 6x market cap to revenue. And, you know, annually, they're on pace to make a little bit more revenue this year than last year, but not much. And they've been pretty stagnant. Like 2016, they did 41 billion, and then this year they're at 43 billion. So like they haven't really grown much. All these years in between, they were down in the 30s. So with the cost of everything going up, I mean, they're actually more profitable now than they were back in 2016. So that's surprising, but good. But yeah, I think there is a buy trade here, but long-term wise, I would short this stock because I think the finances tell the long-term story. McDonald's, another satanic company, looks to be hitting some resistance here. There's a major level here at like 300, 298 maybe. Yeah, 298. It's re-entering this zone again. We'll see how it reacts. I would say this is probably a good short position to these lows. Something like this. Yeah, I'm just not optimistic about all these stocks in the sense that they're going to keep going up. I think they're overpriced. I think with economic slowdown, their revenues are going to start paying the price. Right now, like I said earlier, they've been gouging people, right? So with inflation, and they blame it on COVID and shit, so they jack up their prices. And so in the short term, the revenues go up because what was $10 is now $15, so therefore it increases the revenues by 50%. But then all of a sudden people can't buy shit, so then the revenues go drastically. So instead of getting $10 in revenue, the revenue went from $10 to $15, and then it's going to go to zero because they're gouging people, and people don't have any money, so they're not going to buy shit. You're not going to be eating out when you can't pay anything else. So, and I think McDonald's as a company is pretty stagnant. Like their PE's high, dividends, at least they pay them, but they're low. 216 market cap. I mean, fuck, man, you're on like that's over 9 times market cap to revenue, which is not good. You look at their annual revenue, it's been just floating above 20 billion, and it hasn't grown. Like it's actually decreased since 2016, and I assume they've opened up a lot more locations since then, and they're not driving revenue. So that's a good sign, because I want people to get healthier too. So I hope McDonald's is hurting. They're a shitty company and they're overpriced stock. Revenue is, or their net income's a little bit higher. It's supposed to be a little bit higher this year than it was last year, but still not great. So it's good news ethically that this shit is falling, but bad news company wise for them, because they are going to plummet. Facebook, man, just insane. I remember when Facebook was down here, back in November, and I was like, this is a good buy, and I never capitalized on it, and I just kind of like forgot about it. And yeah, apparently it's done really well since then. I wonder if it's, it still looks pretty bullish, guys. It does seem to be having some resistance now recently. Again, could just be the end of the month and the volume drying up a bit, but it is approaching the $300 mark, which would be huge. There's not really, there's a zone here actually that's pretty significant, and this does have the bullish momentum to hit it. Oh yeah, right at the 300 zone. So I would say that this is still a good buy, right to this 300 zone, like 300 on the dot. Something like this, a little high risk because your stop is short, but again, if you don't care about stops, I would say this is still a good buy, and then you can get a little bit out of it in a short amount of time, because it does have so much bullish momentum. So odds are it'll keep just moving in this direction. It might have like 4 or 5 bull days in a row and just get to this zone pretty quick. But you're looking at $300, 300 profit, like an entry of 284. Wrong thing. 284 entry. That's kind of your trade setup there. If you can get it, if this bullish momentum continues next month, which I think it will, you can slide up into that area, and then I'd probably get out of that position, because it's such a significant level. It's got previous rejections, and then because it's hitting that $300 mark and it's a big whole number like that, there's a chance that momentum reverses drastically at that point. So I would, if you're to buy it now, I would make your money, and then once it's $300 a share, just get out. But we'll look at their finances here. So yeah, and Facebook used to be really cheap compared to the other ones. I think the P ratio was in the 20s, like low 20s for a while, before that huge dip even, and it was consistent. But now it's almost at 35, so it's a little overpriced now, even compared to the other ones. But revenue wise, like another 6 times revenue, which is high, decent profit margins. I would say Facebook's becoming overpriced again, which for a while it was a really good price. Their revenue is not really growing. I think Facebook and all their sub platforms like Instagram and stuff like that they own, I don't think it's gonna vanish, but I think it's definitely dying down. See if they can acquire another uprising company, because I just don't think, for the last 3 years the revenue has been stagnant. So and income wise, like they're down 50% profitability in the last 2 years, so like that's not a good sign either. So the money's dried up, the growth has dried up, and then within the company they're becoming less and less profitable. So not a good sign for Facebook. Probably a good sign for humanity though. I think people are using their phones less, which is good. So yeah, I mean, this weekly candle, it's closing really bullishy. It obviously tested some lows, got bought up, so I would say this is a great trade to this area, and then I would dump it. Marathon, another oil company, approaching this 200-day moving average that it cracked, so it's now going bearish. There's a zone here. Don't really see much here. I have to wait for it to come up to this zone, and then I'll probably short it, to be honest. Not sure what a target would be. Maybe these previous lows here would be a pretty reasonable target. Something like this. It'd be sick if you get a 10R on it, but you just have to wait to see how that plays up and how price reacts when it gets to this area. If it gets to that area, if it doesn't, then you'd have to look at something else, but that's that one. Marathon, Microsoft, another one of the big tech companies. Looks like it's it was super bullish, but looks like it's struggling a bit. Oh yes, this is why. So ton of resistance here. This previous level, it's 340 level, and these here. Yeah, it doesn't like the 340 level. We could even move it a little bit higher, maybe 345. Yeah, there we go. Well, no, we'll put it back to 340 for this. So very bullish, obviously, but really struggling with this zone. So, and again, with interest rates, economic slowdown, all that also to factor in, fundamentally, I would say you might be able to short this for a little bit. I mean, it would be a counter trend trade. So again, we don't like those, but I do think that would be a decent setup if you could get the right risk to reward, and if you had enough confirmation. So enough wicks on, like, see this 4-hour candle right now today is pretty, like, it gapped and it's huge into the zone. So I would still wait. I would need a couple more 4-hour candles before considering this, and then I would jump on this trade and just short it. I mean, these stocks are going to come down, guys. Like, it's not if, it's when. So worst case scenario, you're early. So if you can afford to be early, then be early. So that's Microsoft. Moving on to Netflix again. Super bullish, but you can see it coming to an end eventually. This week, it's producing a bullish engulfing candle. There's not really any. There's major resistance here. It's kind of your best bet. Here's most recent. Well, no, here we'll extend this a bit. So this is your main area. So yeah, I might push up a little bit higher still. 460. But after that, I would definitely not buy it. I don't think the risk to reward right now is even worth it. There's a chance that these recent dailies, like, there's a chance it doesn't even break this zone. So I'm more than likely would want to short this. Again, you would need price to produce enough weekly 4-hour candles that are weak in this area before entering the short, or just wait till it hits this area and then short it. You might be able to snag a little bit of profit in between these areas. Let's say price did produce a bunch of weak candles, like this 4-hour candle is still pretty strong, so I wouldn't go off that yet. But if it produced more weakness in this area, could do something like this, grab a 3 or 4 quick little trade, kind of based on just like a weekly pullback type trade back into this zone and then just dump it. Nike broke the moving average, is now struggling below it. There is a significant area here of buyer support. This weekly candle, as it's closing, is not very good, which kind of shows me that there is more bearish momentum. You have these wicks in here, these candles, something like this. So right now there's no trade, but if price did come up to here next week, you could target something in there. Maybe like, yeah, 103 and 114 for your entry. I mean, that'd be a really nice entry, but you might not get 114, maybe 113. Yeah, something like this. Get a 5 or 6R on this Nike short. Nvidia, again, super overpriced tech stocks. I'm so sick of them. Monthly wise, there's nothing, like, just ridiculously bullish, and there's no previous resistance anywhere, which tells me two things. Like, yeah, it can keep going up heavily and quickly, but also once it starts coming down, it'll really come down because there's no real areas of significance that have held this before. So, you know, you got price gapping like this, like there's no history on this. So, I mean, yeah, like basically this is still bullish, and there would only be, the only logical trade would be to buy this, but based on the fundamentals, like, it's so overpriced. 212 is somehow $1 trillion company with $26 billion in revenue. So what is that, 40 times revenue to market cap? Like, that's disgusting. This might be my new most hated stock, to be honest. Absolutely insane. I don't know, like, what's their, you know, the revenue's been down quarter after quarter after quarter. This year they're projected to make less money than the last 2 years. So why this is so high beats me, but I would look to short this. I mean, if you could just afford to short this and you weren't using leverage or anything and you didn't have to cover margin at all, man, I would just short this every day. And like, eventually, once this starts turning around, you'll do very, very well. I mean, ideally, yes, people are buying it and it's going to keep going up because of that, but I would wait for price to break one of these areas, one of these recent lowish areas like this, and then just target lows after that. Because I think once the bear momentum comes into this market, like with this stock, because once people start dumping this stock, it's really gonna fall. Like I said, there's no resistance anywhere. It's so overpriced. I mean, this stock is honestly at least 20 times overpriced. Well, no, maybe at least 10. At least 10. So the stock should be $40 a share, honestly. And eventually it'll hit that. The same thing happened to Zoom. I called Zoom. When Zoom was $500, I'm like, it's going to 50. Well, I said first it's going to 100, and it did. It went to 100 pretty quick. But this stock will also go to $50. Just watch. Once it breaks this area, you know, hopefully that's the end of the bullish momentum. But, you know, it's going to be just straight down. So we will wait for that. Pfizer, another satanic company, great. Does not look to be doing well, which makes me happy. Hit new lows, which is nice. Odds are to pull back a little bit. And then there's not really any trade setups on this though. Obviously, if it came up to here, you could sell it, but don't know if that's likely to happen. And if it is, it's a while away. Another big company, Procter & Gamble. Price looks to be headed back up to this area. If it did come up to this area, I would consider shorting it. I mean, this is tough because this is bullish. It is above moving average. Did make new highs. Yeah, I don't know, like this is probably more of a buy position than a short position, but I wouldn't take either. Just don't feel good about either. Another dusty company. I remember when this company was really, I'm pretty sure this is the company Amazon lost a lot of money on, but I remember when this was, oh my god, $60 a share. I remember that, and it was so overpriced, and I was like, it's gonna crash. And when it does, it really crashes, and it sure did. Daily, weekly, very bearish. Resistance on this level here. It's actually approaching resistance again. So I would look to short this here. If you wanted a quick trade, something like this, or if you wanted to target these ones or these ones, I think those are all totally reasonable. I think this is the most immediate trade. You can see it's already printing a doji candle on the daily here, so it might not even make it up to this zone. You could sell it now, sell it if it got even higher. You look at their finances, again, another horrible company, and people are like, well, it's a growth stock, it's a, you know, new emerging tech company and new technology. No, it's trash. It's all based on hype. That's all it is. So PE, again, they're not profitable. They don't pay dividends. They're somehow worth $6 billion on $700 million in revenue, so 9 times market cap to revenue, and they've lost more money than they brought in every year. So, you know, people are like, well, if it gets acquired, it'll take off, this, that. What if Tesla buys them, something? You know, no. Until that happens, no. Short this stock. It's garbage. Short it to zero. They're going to bleed themselves dry of money. PayPal, I absolutely hate with a passion as well. Never use them. Always use Stripe now. Looking at here, this is was support, broke, is now resisting. Even tighten this up a little bit here. That's really nice. I would short PayPal because I hate them, and also the charts are saying it's a good idea. You could go like this. It's already showing good signs that it wants to come back down, so I would even be comfortable placing this stop just above those recent candles. You can sell it now, sell it if it came a little bit higher. Target this area first and then target the next one if you want, the next low. I think that's an excellent trade. It's way below the moving average. It's super bearish. I would short that all day. PayPal Holdings, their finances, so they're still overpriced. They don't pay dividends. $73 billion market cap on only $27 billion in revenue, so it's about 2.5 times market cap to revenue. They do have quite a bit of employees still. It's a lot of overhead. Annually, they haven't grown in the last 3 years. They're not really intended to this year either. Net income is about the same. So bearish at best, no, stagnant at best, but bearish most likely. Would short PayPal. Oh, this is fucking Pelosi's company here. I don't know much about this at all. I think a buddy of mine told me to look at it a long time ago. I'm just gonna skip that. QSR is a restaurant brand. They own a bunch of franchises. Super bullish, obviously. Seemed like it was reaching a top, but then this weekly candle absolutely annihilated it. However, there are some more here, so this is interesting. It's the highest it's ever been. Yeah, just about. So there's a lot here. So weekly, it's approaching the zone now. It's into it. This weekly candle closes really bullish. We'll see how next week goes. If next week prints a bullish candle and it goes through this zone and closes above this zone, then it's probably going to make new highs, obviously, and who knows what those would be. But if next week this prints like a doji type candle or a very bearish rejecting type candle, then I'd say momentum might be switching back downwards. So you would just have to wait and see. If you want to take a gamble, which I don't, but if you did, because it's already in this zone, you could short it and then target this little area here. But based on this daily candle too, closing like this, nice and full, there's so much bullish momentum there, I would not short that yet. But if it starts producing more bearish momentum, a bunch of wicks, like if it produces a bunch of candles that look like this, then I would short this. So you just gotta wait. But curious about their finances. So their PE ratio is high, but not insane. They do pay a little bit of dividends, which is good. Market cap of 35 billion. Yeah, like that's like 6 times revenue, which is very high. Annual revenue, they're growing, but not much. I think this is like Tim Hortons and Burger King and stuff. Yeah, I would honestly say, and I think like as the recession really comes into play, I think this stock will start coming down. So the fact that it's touching its most recent highs now is interesting, because we'll have to really see. I feel like a lot is going to happen in the next few weeks with this company, stock price wise, because there's just this, this is back in 2019. We'll just see what it does, because with all that history, like it might really switch the momentum back downwards now. We'll see. Ferrari stock is through the roof. Very, very, very bullish, which is wild to me, but let's just see. Holy wow, these are all new time highs. This is unreal. I don't know why the stock is doing so good. Well, clearly it's bullish. So if you're going to trade it, I would buy it. I don't know where, because it doesn't even produce any like real resistance zones or any like buyer support zones. So if you're gonna buy it, just buy it now, I guess. I don't know why it's through the roof. What's their finances look like? Oh, overpriced. 54. It's pretty overpriced. Barely pay dividends. $80 billion market cap. Ooh, on only $5 billion revenue. So 16 times market cap to revenue. They're barely have any more revenue coming in this year than they did last year. Ferrari might end up being the biggest short eventually. I would watch this. I'm going to set an alert. I bet you. This is what we're going to do. We're going to set an alert for this company based on this 4-hour moving average. Because I bet you once this company loses momentum and hits this 4-hour moving average, let's say it hits it around like $300 or like 310, and it has that shift in momentum, I bet you it's going to collapse because it's very, very, very overpriced. And I don't think the exotic car market is going to do super, super well. I don't know if it's going to overall go down too much because rich people aren't really affected by recessions. They usually make more money. But I just think overall economically, I don't think they'll do too well. I don't think they'll do super bad, but I just don't. It's overpriced, and I don't see it continuing this trend. So that's what I think about that. Starbucks finally going bearish. There's an area here of resistance. So this is interesting. I do think it's going to go real bearish. I don't think it's going to absolutely collapse, but I think it's going to hit some areas. Like this is a major area, so if it breaks this area, and I think it will, then you're looking at the next low. So something around here. So this is your trade right here. Obviously, if it came up to here, this is a big trade, but you'd have to hold it for a bit, but it could definitely be worth it, and you could average it, and you could, as price starts to move down and down and down, you could sell more and sell more. But if it got up to here, obviously, sell it. You could sell it now, or you can sell it if it breaks this area accordingly. Just depends on what you want to do. If you think it's going to get back up to $100, then you can wait. If you don't, you can sell it now. Or if you want to be real conservative, you just wait until it breaks this area, retests, and then you could do like something like this, which would be an excellent, very probable, low risk trade. Nice R value, you know, got like an 8 R to R, so that would be an excellent trade. Actually, we'll do Secure too here. So Secure, another oil-based company, clearly bearish now, having issues in this area. I think this is a excellent area to short to. I would wait for momentum to die because it's proving a little bit too much bullish on this daily candle here entering this zone. This is just a little too bullish for my liking. I would wait for it to show some more. So like into next week, if it starts going much flatter and producing some more bearish candles, then I would take this trade all day. I think this is excellent. Like 625 or no, higher than that. 629. Yeah, that would be my trade. 629 to 585. I think that's very reasonable. Price is almost heading there now. So like I said, if that bullish momentum sets in on next week, then this is a good trade to take. Very, very reasonable. Just a few more. I'm getting fucking tired here. Shell. So another oil company, but somehow is still bullish. It's quite a bit above this moving average, but it's coming into resistance here. I think yeah, I think this is a safe bet to short. I think $1 a share is not really worth the position, but if you wanted to if you wanted to short it down to here, or just short it indefinitely, I think that would be a good idea. Looks like it's already showing bearish momentum with this really bad doji candle, and there's other wicks here in this area, so I think you could short it now. You could short it when it gets a little bit higher into this like $60, 60 and a half bucks, and then just hold it down to here, down to like 56, maybe 56.25, 56 even. Yeah, I'd say 56 even. Just wait for that. Just take this short, hold it all the way down there. Would be pretty good. Shopify, another overvalued stock, is hitting resistance around this $65 area. Bullish nonetheless, but huge weekly resistance here. You can see tapped here, tap, does not want to go above 65 bucks, which means we should short it. And then I would short it to this price gap. Not even a little bit lower, yeah. I would short this to this price gap. Right there, maybe like 54.50. Something like that. From 65 bucks to 54.50. Set your stops accordingly. You get a 5R here. I think that's an excellent trade. You can see on the daily it's resisting here again. Yeah, I would probably short that next week. Snap. Bullish recently because it crossed over this moving average, but there's a ton of wicks in this area. It doesn't really like being above 12 bucks a share. So I would short this, and I would short it to this area here, which kind of functioned like it was resistance, then broke, then resistant this way, and then sitting on top of this. I think this is an excellent spot to shoot for. And then it's a great setup. If you don't think that, yeah, like this, I don't really see price getting much higher than these ones here, so just set your stop based on some candle closes. The 4-hour candle closes next week, and then you can get a good R to R. This is Squarespace, I think. So we're seeing some resistance here at this level. It's approaching again this $66 level, 67 maybe. Right, $67 level, and then target these lows here. That is your trade for that one. Very good setup there too. Stellantis. Oh, that is ugly. I'm not even going to touch that. Suncor, another energy company. They're all kind of the same. Weak oil prices equals weak stock prices. Just kind of wait till price hits the recent highs, and then target the new lows or the most recent lows. So position like this. would be good. And then this stock's a little bit ugly for trading. AT&T, bearish, super bearish. We'll check this weekly out. It is finding its area of resistance down here on the weekly. So there's also some resistance here. So I don't think there's a real trade here, but odds are it'll come up to this zone and then shoot lower. Don't really see much of a trade. I just don't think there's enough money in it. Tesla. Ooh, everyone's favorite stock, Tesla. So it was really cheap actually. At the end of last year, even I thought it was cheap. And usually I think it's really overpriced, but now I think it's overpriced. But let's find an area where it might head to. So a lot of bullish momentum recently into it. Again, this $300 range. Last week's candle did produce a nice wick, but then this candle is super bullish and full. So there's definitely bullish momentum with Tesla still, probably to this $300 level. And then, so this might be like one of the first stocks I actually buy. But you kind of want to find an area to buy it, which would be right here. So this ideally would have been your buy, which you kind of missed, but you might get it again if it comes back down, but I don't really think it will. I think this daily's huge, bullish, and then it even gapped, so I would say this is your trade, which you could have made a lot of money on. Well, you would have had a really good entry that you could make a lot of money on, but I think we kind of missed it. I mean, you could trade it now, you could buy it now, still get whatever. If you're not using stops and you're not using leverage, then it doesn't really matter when you buy it. Now is good, yesterday was good, Monday will be good. I think it's good throughout to buy Tesla stock up to that $300 range, then it's a different story. Oh, but I want to look at Tesla's fundamentals quick here. Yeah, super overpriced still at 75. Not paying dividends. You're looking at a 10x on revenue, but at least they're profitable now. The market cap to revenue is 10x though, which is like, it's still, Tesla's super overpriced again, but I think it'll still go higher till 300, and then it might switch. I'm not going to go over this one. Uber. I like them as a business personally, but I hate them as a company finance-wise. So it is hitting some resistance here. It did print this weekly candle that also solidifies that. It does look to be coming back down. It hit this zone. Wicked out. Big bearish candle out of it now. So I would probably short Uber. It has been bullish recently, so we don't want to overshoot it, but could target, well, it's kind of already at that area, but could target this area. If price did come back up to this $44 range, you could target lower like this, and then something like that, like a 6R. Uber's financials are horrible, like, and that's why I hate them as a company in that sense. Like, not profitable, no dividends, $87 billion market cap on $30 billion in revenue, so that's like 2.5 times, 3 times just about, and never been profitable, zero. Oh, 2018 they're profitable, barely, but, and I just hate that. I hate that these companies can just not be profitable forever, and it's fine. The revenue is on pace to be a little bit higher than last year, but not much. Quarterly they are growing though, so that is good for that, I guess, but still terrible finances overall. Good short position coming up though. Don't want to go over this company. Visa. will probably be a massive short soon. It's kind of sitting above all these recent weekly wicks. There's a lot of bullish momentum right now because, again, with interest rates and debt going up, Visa will be very profitable for a bit, and they'll have a lot more money coming in, but then that drops dramatically at one point. So I think this $250 target for Visa, very reasonable. Huge weekly candle, I would say you're still a good buy. I think if you could find an entry, which would be like now, to be honest, this is your trade up to this zone, maybe even do it a little bit, but I think as soon as it hits this area, you get out of it because that's risky. But this is your basic trade right now. If you don't have to set a stop, if you don't have to worry about your perfect entry, then yeah, buy it now. If it drops a little bit, and then like if it dropped to this area here, you could buy more. Something like this, you could buy a bit more, but I think there's enough bullish momentum to carry it to this 250 range, but after that, dump it. Another energy company I don't want to go over. WeWork, absolute disaster here. Probably short that into the ground, to be honest. Wells Fargo, we're almost at the end, guys. Another bank stock, eh? Weekly is showing bullish momentum, but yeah, so it'll probably break this zone, to be honest. And I would target another higher zone up here. 47 bucks. I think it's a good buy. I mean, higher highs and higher lows. A little bit of resistance you kind of got to worry about, but I think overall you're good to buy it now. If you don't have to worry about a stop, you could buy it now, something like this. Be good to go. Ooh, Walmart stock. Big company. Oh, this is another interesting one. So, you look at all this resistance here. Like 157. Yeah, 157, 158. We'll do 158. It's probably as high as it's going to get. There is good bullish momentum going into this zone, but previously it hasn't been good. This candle in early June respected this price as well. So this is actually really interesting. I would watch and see how momentum switches, or like if it switches at when it hits 158 here, because if it switches, then we're looking for shorts. And again, with economic downturn on the horizon, Walmart's revenues will also go down, and they run very, very, very tight profit margins. So if their revenue starts slipping month over month, it starts going down, then this stock is going to drastically come down as well. So wait for this to come up a bit more. It's interesting that today is super bullish, and then it did create some real support here. So we're going to watch this closely and see if it starts switching, because then that'll be a good short. Exxon, another oil company, the biggest oil company actually. It's basically Standard Oil. Rockefeller still probably runs it somehow, most of his family. Again, same play as the other oil companies. Short this down to that area. You know, price has recently become bearish. It broke below this moving average, now it's retesting it. I think this is actually an excellent trade, to be honest. Yeah, I would take that Monday, and then good to go. Target 101. Yeah, I think that's very reasonable. Yum Brands also hitting some key areas here. Yeah, I would say this is lining up for some big shorts. You just have to wait and see how price reacts once it hits this area here, this little area, because it looks pretty bullish now going into it. You know, there's some wicks here, came up, pulled back, didn't make a new low, got some wicks, boom. You know, so there's a lot of buying momentum there. We'll see how it reacts when it hits this area though early next week, because if it starts printing some bearish candles, then that's a good sign that it's going to turn back down. Two more, boys. So we are at Zoom, which used to be, actually no, is still the highest P ratio I've ever seen in my life. We'll check that after though. So fundamentally, very, very bearish, obviously. We can see that it's been kind of flat-ish recently. So yeah, not much going on. I would short this down even lower. I would short this indefinitely, to be honest, just because it's so overpriced still, and Zoom's revenue model is not great, and there's so many other apps you can use and stuff, and I just think that it's I mean, if anything, maybe their systems, like, I still like Zoom as a product, like I still use it, but I think as a company they took advantage of the revenue and the hype during Rona season, but now that that's gone, they really got nothing. The company doesn't really make money. Definitely not a lot of money, and definitely not compared to their valuation. So wait for price to hit this area and then short it. That is the play. And then yeah, short it to these recent lows and then even further. I think that's a totally safe bet. I think if we look at their finances, yeah, 14,000 PE ratio. I've never seen anything worse than that. Never. No dividends, $20 billion market cap on $4 billion in revenue, so 5 times market cap, and then only $100 million in net income. So 2% profit margins, over 14,000 PE ratio, and a $20 billion market cap. Yeah, and like I said, revenue wise, the last 3 years they're not really growing. Their quarterlies are barely growing, and I just don't see them all of a sudden, like, I just don't see them all of a sudden being able to produce. I don't see their revenues, you know, doubling, tripling anytime soon. And I don't even know. Let's see if they're see what the projected profitability is this year. Yeah, so oh my god, this is so bad. Their profitability is going to be 20 times less than it was last year. So yeah, this is a great short. I would short this forever, just indefinitely. And yeah, I would short Zoom to the bottom. I just don't think that they'll ever come out of this now, that their real finances are available, you know, once all the hype died down. I think this stock is trash. Like, I don't, it should honestly be worth, like, right now, it should be worth maybe half of what it currently is. Like, this should be a $35 share, and that's that's highballing it. So the fact that it's like 70 or like, yeah, $68, super overpriced. Anyways, last one, TD, another bank stock. Big week coming out, but could see it struggling with this area here. And this moving average, so it is bearish, it's below this moving average. I think it's going to come into this area like it is right now, next few days, next week, touch this moving average and then turn around, because I just don't see it having the momentum necessary to break this area. I just don't think it could be that bullish. So there's a short position here and then into this area, something like this. Wait a few days, let some bears come into play here in this area, and then watch price turn around and come back down. If you want to look at their finances, 10, which is very good. It's undervalued. It's normal for bank stocks though. 4.6% dividend, which is not bad, not amazing, but at least it's something. It's there. 113 market cap, so it's about 2.5 times revenue, which isn't crazy. They're very profitable at 20%, 27% profit margins, 29, 21. Yeah, I mean, bank's really good at making money right now, but yeah, the revenue's massive. Net income. Yeah, see, but this is a little concerning. So how do you get almost $17 billion more in revenue and make $2 billion less in income? That doesn't make sense. So that's a little weird. I would still suggest shorting this once the bearish momentum comes into play, and then target this low. Wow, my voice is shot from talking, but that's it. That's the Forex, that's stocks, that's everything I see. Tomorrow I'm going to go over a long-term monthly analysis of everything, Forex and stocks, and then we can figure out our projections for the month, where everything's headed, and see what kind of setups we can create based on a monthly aspect. So appreciate you guys watching, and hopefully you learned something. If you have questions, please let me know. Happy to answer them. You can reach me directly or via the comments. I would appreciate that.